And I know it might sound silly, but I want you to put in the event title, scheduling/planning. And what that will do for an hour, okay, just on your Sundays, what that will do is it will actually put in your calendar the time that you need to be able to look at the rest of the week.
I don't even think it would take an hour. 15 minutes at most. Start there. Emilia and I probably take an hour to do it, but we've also been doing this for a long time. 15 minutes at most to plan your week out. Welcome to Evolve Ventures, where we are making evolution possible for growth-minded humans through vulnerable lessons, stories, and technology. I am your host, Bianca Thomas.
And I am your host, Emilia Smith. Welcome back to another episode 127, Motivation Mondays, how to set boundaries around your schedule. This is something that I so deeply believe in the conversation around, and Bianca and I are excited to share with you how we set boundaries around our schedules, which enable us and empower us and inspire us to be this version that you see of ourselves, you know, super dedicated to our mission, super consistent around what we believe in, and living deeply within our values. So if this is something that you struggled with, you are in the right spot. B, over to you, my friend.
So I was on the phone with a client the other day, and she's a med student. So like anyone who's ever been a med student knows how like horrible it is, or has ever been friends with a med student, or has heard stories of people like pursuing the medical field. It is not an easy field at all. Like the amount of work you have to do is unreal. So I'm on the phone with this client, and she's like, I'm so overwhelmed. I keep failing my exams. It's like I'm doing the things you told me. I'm putting a calendar. I'm doing all of this stuff, but it's not working. And I'm like, well, you've been tracking it, right? And she's like, yeah, I've been tracking it. And I'm like, okay, well, let's show me your schedule. So I gave her like share screen permission. She opens up her calendar, and it's like, oh my God, I saw it, and I'm like, okay, so I know why you're overwhelmed. She had a 6-hour study block from like 7 at night to like 1 a.m. after a 5-hour middle of the day family time event. And then this was like every day. There was just no consistency at all to her schedule. It's like she went to class, and then she had like an hour break, and then like a 3-hour study period, and then like 3 hours with her partner, and then another 6-hour study period. And I'm like, oh my God, you have no consistency. There's no sense of like, I do these at this time, I do this at this time, and I'm going to sleep well and do all of the things necessary for optimal brain health, which is going to allow you to retain more information, to learn better, and just to feel mentally and emotionally more stable. So I said to this client, I'm like, your schedule's all over the place. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, well, I set the things that we said, but I just feel so guilty. I just want to be with my partner. I don't know how to I don't know how to say no when people ask me to do things, or to go help them, or to go do whatever it is that I'm getting asked to do. I just don't know how to set boundaries around that. Like, I don't know how to keep to the schedule that I set. And so that's where I got the idea for this episode, was how do you set boundaries around your calendar? I think so many of us, we really do want to be successful in the things that we say. You know, we want to have a good job that we enjoy. We want to have a good family. We want, you know, a nice house or a car or whatever it is that success looks like for you. The challenge is most of us aren't doing the things and implementing the tools that are actually going to get us there, because we think it's so daunting or so scary or so much harder than it actually is. So we're going to take two approaches in this episode, and it's a short episode, so we're going to keep it quick. Number one, how do you actually set up a calendar to make it the most effective it can be? And then number two, how do you actually maintain it? when you put something on the calendar, how do you make sure you actually get it done and set the boundaries around that? So, to the first point, what do you want to give for our listeners? What would be the feedback you would give them on how to actually optimally utilize their calendar?
So the first thing that I would say, and really, really quick, this is a series of conversations that we're going to have around this topic, because one of the things that we know with our community is that so many people struggle in general about boundaries and about their relationship with their own time and their ability to set boundaries and their schedule, right? Especially around this word that I really want to pick up on around the consistency part. And so knowing that there are levels to this, and where we are that's been through massive development over time and reps, and we've had a lot of experience in this, we want to start off at a very, very small baby steps, because I think starting baby steps is very, very important to us. So the first thing that I would say for our listeners here, right after you get off this episode, I literally am in your shoes. I'm envisioning what you need to do with those thumbs or those pointer fingers on your screen once you jump off this episode. So bear with me, okay? We're going to jump off this episode, and I would highly recommend, if you don't have a calendar app already installed on your device, the mobile device that's with you as like the third hand at all times, I recommend you download a calendar app that is easy, accessible, and highly integratable on that technology part with the rest of the world. So what I use is Google Calendars, and I have an iPhone, right? So iPhone comes with a calendar. I don't believe that it is the best, honestly. And that's after like all of my life at calendar optimization, time management, and task management, right? So Google Calendars has provided me this feminine who honors the consistency, honors the structure, but also simultaneously honors that part of me that just wants to frolic sometimes, right? So it allows the way that it's technologically set up for me to hold that duality. So for all of our listeners that really struggle with the balance of their masculine and feminine, Google Calendar, I deeply believe is you. So put that thumb over to the Google Calendar app, download that. Once it gets started, I want you to connect it with an email of your choice. And obviously you have to do that to get started. And I want you to create an event on your calendar on Sundays. And I know it might sound silly, but I want you to put in the event title, scheduling/planning. And what that will do for an hour, okay, just on your Sundays, what that will do is it will actually put in your calendar the time that you need to be able to look at the rest of the week. So Bianca,
I don't even think it would take an hour.
I don't think so either.
15 minutes at most. Start there. Emilia and I probably take an hour to do it, but we've also been doing this for a long time. 15 minutes at most to plan your week out.
And that sounds crazy to some people. I remember, going over one of my clients when she first started getting into like the whole calendar, leveraging her calendar, because what that does is that actually buys you back time. That's the exciting part about this that we drastically underestimate. And when you buy back time, it's a byproduct of you being able to honor those boundaries around your schedule. And so 15 minutes, max an hour, set up on your Sunday to look at the week and to plan out your week. It's not silly to plan your planning. Let's uproot that limiting belief first and foremost, because at the end of the day, if you're not planning your time, honestly, someone else is. And that's the tough part that you're going to have to face with this. So second thing with that, after they put it in their calendar, they put the block in, they're like, yes, we have done something. We have built that baby step. Okay, cool. It's like, Monday. We have like several days until that Sunday rolls around. And so therefore there's plenty of excuses that I could probably collect so that I don't actually have to do that, so that I don't actually have to set that boundary. Yeah, that might be in my device, but I'm not in the habit of actually honoring that boundary yet. So what would you suggest to our listeners who, when it actually comes down to, okay, we're 15 minutes out from having to schedule our week, what can we do? What's one small baby step that our listeners can do to make sure that they are honoring their boundaries around this timestamp on their calendar, to actually, set that boundary and move forward with scheduling out their week?
I think a big thing is understanding the importance of it. I think the reason why a lot of people don't want to schedule their week is because they don't think they have anything to schedule. They don't think they have anything to plan. It's like, what am I going to do? I go to work, I come home, and then what? I have nothing to do. So I think a big thing is we need to have clear intentions around what's important to us. And then put that on your calendar. Have those things be what you put. So for this client, there's 3 major things we had her put on her calendar, and she's scheduling it. Number 1 is school. Number 2 is homework and studying. And number 3 is her partner. Those are the biggest things for her. She's like, those are the things I need to make sure that I am putting on here. I'm like, all right, great. Put that. Then what are the secondary important things? Well, exercise and getting time outside and like meditation. So I'm like, all right, awesome. Let's schedule that next. And she's like, this feels daunting. This feels like scary because I don't know if I can, I don't know if I can keep this. I'm like, well, what gets in the way? And she said, I feel really guilty when people ask me to do something and I don't know how to say no. And this is where honoring the boundary comes in. You have to tell yourself and remind yourself of why you set it in the first place. The reason our original show was called the Why Power Podcast was because your why, your reasoning for doing things is one of the biggest things that will actually help you to keep doing it. And to maintain it and to follow through on it. So why is it important for you to, when you say you're going to go to the gym at 7 p.m., why is it important for you to go do that? What's your reason for having put it there? What's your reason for having a date night every week with your partner? What's the reason for, if you're single like I am, having on your calendar deep inner work? Right? That's one of the things I put on there. It does not move. I will not move it. I don't care who reaches out to me. That is my time for me. Because to me, that time is so important because I know what my life is like when I don't have that time on there. So we do get to start wrapping this up. But so for all of our listeners, how to set boundaries around your calendar. Number 1, learn how to actually set up the calendar. And we have a bunch of other episodes on how to do that. And then number 2, learn how to stick to it by getting comfortable saying no, getting comfortable keeping the promises you make to yourself, getting comfortable reminding yourself in those moments, being your own cheerleader of why you put it there in the first place.
So I have I do have a block on my calendar every single Sunday. And literally the first thing that I look at is my sleep schedule. Like that is the first thing because it is the most important to me in my entire life of all the things. That is the most important. So that's the first thing that I look at. And had I not blocked that time on my calendar on Sundays to really honor that planning time, I wouldn't care about what my bedtime and wake up time is, which would actually cause a huge domino effect of what else I wouldn't care about. And that would pull away the opportunity to really honor what I care about. And so for all of our listeners here, if you're someone that struggles to honor what you value, and maybe you don't even have clarity around what you value, and therefore that's why it's hard to set boundaries around your schedule, or maybe you just struggle in general to say no, like that's really challenging. And we've been there before, and we've helped so many people just like you get on the other side of that. Even if it's just you struggle with understanding technology. I know so many women that do struggle with technology. So many men and women. There's so many people out there that struggle with leveraging their technology to help them honor their boundaries, to help them leverage their schedule, right? And so we have team trainings. We have so many different resources that can actually help you. Bianca and I have dedicated 30 minutes completely free on our calendar every single Saturday, strictly to help our community evolve in this regard. Leverage the technology that's at all of our disposals. And if you feel as though you're like at a kindergartner level with this stuff, that's totally okay. There's so many people like that. We were there at one point too. So please, if you're someone who struggles with this in any regard that we spoke about today, please click that link. It's going to be in the show notes. Jump on our calendar, completely private. There's no judgment here. It's important to get started because at the end of the day, how to set boundaries, there's so many layers to that. And just getting started is so deeply important. To that end, my episode suggestion, if you like this episode, is 101 Optimization Basics When You Don't Have Time. This is definitely a deeper awareness, just if, to be honest, for someone who doesn't know what optimization is, that's a deeper in the awareness episode, but I do believe it's really helpful so that it can give you perspective on what looking at time differently can really do for you. B, what is your final takeaway and episode suggestion for our listeners?
This is going to be a little harsh, but there's a reason why certain people achieve things and others don't. It's because they're willing to do these little seemingly extremely difficult things, and they're willing to learn, and they're willing to maintain them. That's it. That is the biggest difference between people who are successful and people who aren't. They're just willing to try the things that the people who have already achieved success are telling them to do. So if you want to be successful in whatever that looks like to you, if you want to buy back your time, as Emilia was saying, if you want to have more control over your life, then this is a beautiful start. Episode suggestion is number 24, how to honor personal boundaries. So that's an episode where we really go deep into how do I actually honor the boundaries that I set.
Love it. That's a throwback back to the Why Power podcast. So you'll be taking a journey with us. Thank you everyone who listened to this episode. We really hope you received value in this, and I will be checking those thumbs. No, I'm kidding. Hopefully that thumb is going towards the Google Calendar app and you're downloading it. And if you happen to do that and you're super proud, tag us at Evolve Venture Society. We will heel click. If you're watching this on YouTube, my wrists are tapping each other. That's essentially the Evolve Ventures of like clapping. We will clap all the way into your next evolution, whether it be the calendar, whether it be honoring that boundary, or anything and everything in between. We are celebrating you, and you've got this.
Tag us at Evolve Ventures, not Evolve Venture Society.
You are right. Evolve Venture Society is
Evolve Venture Society is the private Facebook group that we have, where if you want to meet other incredible people who are doing the same thing, then you can go there. I think that was a little bit of a Freudian slip there, huh?
All good. But you know what? If you're listening and you're already a part of Evolve Venture Society, I challenge you, my friends, to get this first step started. With that, if you haven't already posted something in Evolve Venture Society,
I'm like, where the hell is she going with this?
you're a part of our private Facebook group. I challenge you, if you're listening to this episode, to post on the private Facebook page and tagging, this episode or Bianca and I, and saying what's one thing that you did or you're committing to this week to set and honor that boundary that you have. Okay. All right.
Beautiful.
We are over and out. On to the next episode. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you got a little bit of laugh out of this.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.